Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Andrew Ellis. And thank you, as always, for making us a part of your afternoon. This afternoon, Curtis Wilkerson, as we know, is handling some business in the central Arkansas area. So you're going to have to put up with me and Andrew today on the very first day of April. And being April Fool's Day, Ellis, that's a good shirt you're wearing, man. It's not like we texted each other and said, hey, let's wear this. But yeah, that's a good looking shirt, man.
Well, I mean, let's be 100% honest. We texted each other about wearing shirts. Yeah. We didn't say pink. We did not plan on both wearing the same color, but you got to do what you got to do. I actually, what's crazy, John? I tried to wear the sand one, but I realized that I had only gotten that one in a smaller size for Hillary. And so when I put it on, I was like, this is a medium. This is not me. So, I had to settle for pink, and we're just going to have to match it up today.
Yeah, that's good. They're good looking shirts, and it's that time of year where it's April Fools and everything. Which I promise you, I'm serious about this. I'm going to make this promise. We're going to make this promise. There's not going to be any April Fools jokes on this show besides what we're wearing. Obviously.
Actually, I'm not making that promise.
Okay, well, I'll make that promise. You can go along with it.
Stupid. I'm not going to make big picture April Fools jokes.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, because there is this holiday, which I know we'll talk about later because we'll get to more important things, but this holiday has become, because of social media, is awful. And It's just not as funny and as fun as it used to be maybe when we were kids, when it was just kind of like little fun pranks that were actually pranks instead of just, I'm going to tweet out something crazy and then everyone's going to fall for it and be like, joke's on you. I hate it, actually. I legit hate it.
Yeah, it definitely is a little bit tough. And there's a couple, there's some that you can sniff out right away. But sometimes there's stuff where it's kind of, a little bit sketchy. For example, the UFC's Twitter account tweeted out this morning. They're like, hey, Dana White's going live later today for a big announcement. And he has not gone live yet. I still don't know if they were joking. I still don't know if whatever he's about to say is a joke. I'm like, this is a little bit too close to home.
Yeah, there's too much of it going on. So we're not going to do anything important like saying this big time commit or this transfer is going to commit to Arkansas right now and then it not happen. That's dumb. That's awful. And those people should be tarred and feathered if anyone does that. But we're going to have a lot of things to discuss today. Of course, not only are we going to get into the transfer portal and the latest from that, but we're also going to get into what to watch, presented by Bryant Technologies. A little vibe check by getting into the chat and seeing how you all feel according to Basis Health. Your Alumni Hall question of the day. Do a little buy or sell according to BetSaracen and have some fun with that and talking some Razorback basketball, baseball, and I guess also Pittman's meeting with the media today, Ellis, I think this early this afternoon at 1:30, I think. So
that'll be good to get some post-spring break football action.
Yeah, which I kind of laugh about because I don't know what could be changing from having a week off and what's he going to say differently. But
hadn't even seen him.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going to be said? But we'll have all that. But right now, listen, it's that time of year with the portal, and it's going crazy. And I know it's killing Curtis to just have to do what he's doing now and knowing that what's all going on. But as at least where we left off yesterday. I know that you guys did the Pot at the Palace reaction to Big Z entering into the transfer portal. Had a couple of other players like Sanchez and so on that Chavis, is it Chavis or Chavis? Chavis, but he entered into the portal. But really since that point in time, as far as additions, subtractions goes, there hasn't really been anything, which probably means here just right now, there's going to be some stuff dropping. But the only real things that's changed, Ellis, or at least that's updated, is there's been a few more players or at least some players narrowing down the list that have Arkansas listed into those. And looks like they're looking pretty strongly at about 4 or 5 guys that we talked a little bit about yesterday, but seems to be getting a little bit momentum today.
Yeah, the good thing about this is I know everybody loves the transfer portal madness and they love the roster building and they love having the, 10 different guys you're looking at and, these 10 guys are going to transfer. Comparing it to last offseason, whenever you obviously had a coaching change and you literally replaced pretty much everyone on your roster, the one returning guy, Trevin Brazil, also entered the portal and then came back. And so it's just not going to be that crazy of a situation. You also in in last year's cycle had your entire freshman class thrown together at the last moment because you got a Billy Richmond, Carter Knox, Boogie Flant, all those guys flipped very late in the process. And so with this offseason, we're not going to have 12 roster spots filled and moved and shaked and all this. It's not going to be as crazy. And of course, with John Calipari, he's not doing the Eric Musselman thing where he literally contacts every single player in the country. You have to be good enough. Like he's not just going to throw smoke screens here and there. And there's still some of that going around, but like you said, nothing like crazy's happening. Of course, there's still some dominoes that we expect. We need some clarity on some guys that are currently on the roster. We need to know for sure who all's coming back and all that. And I'm sure we will get some of that here in the next, several days. But like you said, there really hasn't been anything crazy in terms of unexpected developments. Some of the guys that we knew Arkansas was connected to, they remain connected to, like a Lamar Wilkerson, like a Morez Johnson, like some of those guys, Yaxel, who I'm told by the KSR guys is a Kentucky lock.
Apparently.
They're all Kentucky locks. But no, I mean, there hasn't been anything like groundbreaking that we didn't know about or that we couldn't see coming. And so eventually there's going to be something that kind of makes us go, whoa. But like you said, we covered the Big Z thing and we talked about him on the show yesterday. It's weird that the announcement came right after the show, but on the show, all three of us were kind of like, if he stays, cool. If he goes, we'll make it work. We were pretty indifferent. And so it was kind of fitting that was the first announcement, the one that we had already said wasn't really going to move or shake too much. And so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to see all these dominoes start to fall. But the thing that gives me hope is that it's not going to be like last year where literally every single roster spot is up for grabs. The way it's going to play out is if let's say Arkansas landed 2 portal commitments in the next 10 days. Not saying they would be done, but there would be only really like 1 or 2 roster spots or like rotation spots up for grabs. And so I think that's going to lead to this Razorback team being a little bit more selective. It's not going to be an all-out frenzy where last year they were really just trying to fill the roster with anybody they could find, anyone they could get. They're going to be a little bit more selective. And so I think it's going to make it interesting, and we'll see how they decide to use that chicken money.
Yeah, because as far as one of the players you brought up, Morez Johnson, looked like he, which cracks me up. First off, this is recruiting, transfer forward, whatever. When somebody lists out, here's the 17 schools that they're looking at, or just stop. Like, I don't even care. Like it's so absurd. I get that you want to list out of who's contacted you, but I'm like, if you're a player to his magnitude, yeah, you're probably going to get contacted by quite a few schools. But he had a list of 17 teams, but he's narrowed it down now because he only has 6 schools that he's looking at: Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio State, Tennessee, and of course, Arkansas. So that was one of the latest things as far as Arkansas making the final cut of the 6 there for Morez Johnson. But yeah, you mentioned Wilkerson. Obviously, we'll see about the Nate Ament thing, which we'll talk a little bit about here in a second too. But Malik Renault is also one of those guys that has Arkansas in his top 5 schools. So right now it's like basically the stage of there's not anybody that says a guy's a lock or he's for sure coming. Don't listen to him. No, you cannot do that. You got to wait until you see, like, maybe truly if it's one of these big time national guys that say it's down to these 2. But I just don't. I look at all these players and it's like, yeah, I'd love to have one of them, any of them, all of them, whatever it is. But I'm also not going to try to get my hopes up on one player. And if they don't get him, then just be like, oh, God, what's going on here? Like, what happened? You have to be able to take it all and just wait until the final roster is set. And then let's make our judgments then. But if you just because you don't get one player that your heart's set on, doesn't mean that there's not going to be a just as good, if not better player that enters into the portal or that you didn't even think about what you were in the running for. And then boom, you get them. So I know that's asking a lot for patience and asking a lot for just wait and see. But I think that's my biggest message to Razorback fans. It's awesome and exciting that you're involved with so many great players in the portal. There's a few of them that maybe you really like what they've done, but just wait until you get the final roster, and then we can judge on how good of a job Arkansas did in the portal. Because it won't take long to get the entire roster set, at least for what it's looking like come next fall into next spring too.
Well, the thing we always do is, when a recruit says no or changes his mind or doesn't pick your school, you start thinking, well, what's wrong? Do we not have the money? Is Coach Cal lost his fastball? Is our program, are we not cool anymore? Like, do people not care about Arkansas? Like, the good thing about the Hog fans is that you really don't have to worry about anything. Without a shadow of a doubt, you've got the money. That's been well documented. That's been well reported. Like, we know Arkansas has a fat bag to work with. We also know they have a coach who has all these connections and has a pretty long track record of spending that bag well and being in the mix for all these top guys. And so you don't have to worry about, do players think John Calipari's cool? Like, no shit. Yeah, they do. Does Arkansas have the money? Yes, they do. Does Arkansas have some momentum coming off of the season that they just had and how they're kind of one of the cool programs that everyone's talking about? You have all these things working together. And so, like you said, if if the Morez Johnson thing doesn't work out, it's not going to be oh crap, what are we, you have a guy like Renault who's right there, kind of the similar position, right? You have your kind of backup plan right there. Not to mention, you can also read between the lines of your roster and kind of guys that you think may or may not come back. If some of those guys come back, maybe who's to say that doesn't mean that Adu Thiro's not coming back? There's always the cat and mouse game you can play and kind of mental gymnastics. I've seen a lot of people who have noticed that you look at a lot of the people that Arkansas's going after, connected to in the portal, a lot of wings, a lot of forwards, which is kind of what we expected. But what does that probably tell you about Arkansas's backcourt? Of course, you've got two big-time blue-chip freshmen coming in that are playing in the McDonald's All-American game. You've also got a couple players on your roster that may be coming back, like a DJ Wagner, like a Billy Richmond, like a Carter Knox. And so the good thing is, no matter what, when there's a string being pulled this way, there's also a string being, it's all kind of connected. And so I think Razorback fans, there should be less anxiety this time around for a lot of these reasons we're talking about, because there's less spots to fill. There's less question marks in terms of what Arkansas's roster is going to look like. And you kind of know where Arkansas stands in the national landscape. Of course, you still got to go out there and get the guys. But if Arkansas doesn't get a specific guy, it's not because they were incapable of making it happen. It's, you just got to kind of trust this coaching staff, and they're going to spend that money how they choose to spend it.
Yeah, and I trust them. I mean, I trust Cal. I trust the staff to go out there and put together an awesome roster. And I know we'll get to your chats, folks, but I think that's a perfect segue to kind of get into our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall, the #1 Razorback shopping experience you'll ever have, with all the apparel that you could possibly choose from, especially for baseball season. They got jerseys, they got hats, they got everything. And fun fact, Inside Arkansas Live will be broadcasting live there the Friday of the Texas A&M baseball series. So 2 weeks from this Friday, we're going to be live there, and hopefully talking about having a great roster to talk about in basketball, and talking about a baseball team that's keeping it going. But shop them online at InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall and use that promo code HogsBuy20 for 20% off your purchase. It's Alumni Hall. So Ellis, just we can get to the chat and see how they feel too. But the simple question was about the type of player that you really would focus on, the one that you want, because there's different types of players you can get from the transfer portal. Which type of player would be the one you'd most like to see added to the portal for Razorback basketball next season? Would it be an elite shooter, a dominant inside presence, an athletic wing, or another? I'm just a little bit surprised by this. 60% say dominant inside presence. That is what they wanted. 40% say elite shooter. So you're talking about 98.5% of the voting goes towards dominant inside presence, elite shooter. But I thought elite shooter would honestly win, but instead, looks like the fans want a dominant inside presence instead.
So it's interesting, because I was also a little bit surprised by this poll. Of course, we've seen, honestly, our chat, I see people asking for big men all the time, so it shouldn't be that surprising. Here's kind of where I stand on it. So one, Arkansas certainly needs size. Like, they need a big man. They certainly need to go out there and get just a traditional 5-man. And I think Morez Johnson kind of checks that box, but he's at 6'9", 255, like a little bit of a big body. I think they need some length, like just some guy that will come off the bench and be a 7-footer, play 14 minutes a game, get his fouls called, get his rebounds, block a couple shots. Like, they need some size. But in terms of, like, if I were trying to build this roster around something, I would lean toward the shooter thing. One, because I think shooting, like, it's really hard to be a bad basketball team if you shoot the ball well. Yeah. And when you combine these two backcourt freshmen that are coming in that are going to shoot the ball, Carter Knox, who we know is going to shoot the ball. You have a guy like Trevin Brazile potentially coming back at the 4 spot, one of the better shooters at his position in the country. And if you add in an elite sharpshooter with that, someone like a Lamar Wilkerson, he would obviously check that box. That's the kind of guy that I feel like just completely raises the floor of this team. Now, of course, I don't think it's an either or thing. Like, I think at some point, you're going to need to get shooting and you're going to need to get a big man. But I feel like if it's one of those things where it's like, you got to have it and you got to build your roster around it, I would lean towards that shooting, especially because, look, there's a very real chance, we'll see how this roster shakes out. We'll see how it looks. And of course, when you get into the games, it's matchup dependent. But, like, I actually think there's a path to depending on how this roster looks, that a guy like Trevin Brazile could close games for Arkansas at the 5. You could kind of go that small ball threat. One of the things we talked about last year is being a team that teams have to react to rather than a team that you're trying to match what they have. If Arkansas rolls out a lineup where Trevin Brazile's at the 5 and you've got basically 5 shooters on the floor, Arkansas would be a team that, like, teams would have no choice but to go small in that situation. They would have to, or they could do what they did this year and force feed the ball into the interior, which is what Kentucky did with Amari Williams. And we kind of learned Arkansas can win those types of games. And so, one, just because shooting, I like shooting. It's fun to watch. I think I would rather, if I were going to get a big time blue chip player, I would rather have a guy in the Lamar Wilkerson role than a Hunter Dickinson role. But I've also clarified, you're going to need like a big man somewhere, but I think that big man should just be a guy that comes off the bench and just a big guy that is there. He doesn't need to be like a centerpiece for your offense, especially with the backcourt that you're going to have bringing in. I feel like Arkansas is going to be, a perimeter oriented type of team.
Well, and to your point, because I agree. I agree as far as having an elite shooter. And maybe it's because it's just been so long since Arkansas's had one. I'd like to see one. Maybe that plays a little bit of a role into it. But yeah, I think that just having someone, at least one player that's out there, and not saying that they just shoot like threes, like that, not saying that type of shoot. I'm talking about if he gets fouled, he's making his free throws. If he's shooting a 3, no matter where it's at, he's going to make it. A guy that can do elbow jumpers, just a guy that no matter what, his jump shot is pure. That to me just opens up so many things. And he's a guard, he's a guy that as soon as he crosses that half court line, they have to go guard him. They have to go get him. Where if you're an inside presence, I'm not saying it's easy to guard it, but it feels like you can get a lot of help a lot easier when you're inside, having someone come off and everything. Where if you just got a 3-point shooter, especially a guy that's running around, if he gets lost for a second, it cooks you. Like, I mean, just 1 second is all it takes. Where with the big man, yeah, you throw it into him, but if you're not getting the foul calls to get to the line, if they're having help, if they are, if you only got 1 or 2 moves that you may be really good at, but you go up against a guy that's 7-3 or whatever, like there's just so many variables that it would have to depend on. Where if a shooter shoots, no matter who they're against, no matter what it is, not to say that they won't have off nights, but it's a threat that they're going to have to circle. Those opposing coaches every time are going to have to circle. Do not let this guy get loose. Have your best defender go and guard this person nonstop. Hit him as soon as he gets the half court line. To me, it just really has to change the entire defensive scheme and philosophy of what teams would look at if you have that type of elite shooter right now.
I also feel like, I haven't sifted through the portal archives to see the breakdown of each position, but I also just feel like it's easier to find the random big man that is a supplementary piece, like a kind of just like a Nick Pringle at South Carolina is an example of this. Just a guy that's there. He's not a centerpiece of your team. And so when I see the fans saying they want a dominant big man, of course, yeah, we'd all want a dominant big man, but I feel like you can have a dominant roster without it being built around a big man, like someone like a Hunter Dickinson. Also, I just feel like it's 2025 in modern basketball. Like, you got to be able to score, you got to be able to shoot the ball. And so I see a lot of people that are like, well, I don't want a shooter because I want rebounding. Well, you can get rebounding without having a dominant big man. You know what I mean? Like, you can go get just that random 7-footer who's going to come off the bench and give you 15 minutes. You don't necessarily need to build your team around an interior presence to have good rebounding, to defend the block in there. I think I want my big man to not be a needs the ball type of guy. Just a guy that you don't have to run offense for him. And so those guys I feel like are easier to come by, despite the fact that Arkansas couldn't find one last offseason. Whereas a guy that really makes teams defend the 3-point line and completely changes your spacing, completely changes everything. I think that's kind of like, if I were going to get one piece, I would rather get that piece, because I feel like it's easier to find the random big man that can rebound and defend than it is to find a high-level shooter that really threatens teams.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe Arkansas gets one of those guys. Maybe it is Wilkerson, whatever it is. But man, it's just, I want it so bad to just have a guy out of the portal that shot really well at his previous school, and he comes into Arkansas and shoots just as well. That's what I want, just for once. It feels like it's been so long since you've had a player like that. And Nelly Davis, I know he ended up being stronger towards the end, but he was probably the best bet. If it's Wilkerson, who's shooting over 40% from 3 or whatever it is, I want that to continue. I would like for that to happen, and not to sit there and be so excited about this kid And then come 10 games into the season, he's shooting 27% from three. And you're like, what is happening? What is going on? I want that. And I think it could be a game changer for a lot of different reasons. So, but yeah, we'll keep you updated on anything that happens during the live stream. Of course, here today, folks, we appreciate all of you tapping in. I know it's not Curtis Wilkerson who is the ball knower, but don't you worry. I feel like if anything's happening, Curtis is going to be on top. In fact, I told Curtis yesterday, if something does happen, just send us a text and we will read it verbatim. So that way we don't screw it up for you. You know, we're not going to be like, oh yeah, this guy, who's this player? And it's like, that's not actually him at all. So if there's anything breaking, we'll get to that and have some fun with it. But no, we'll wishing Curtis well wishes in his travels. I think his wife is watching. So Michelle, take good care of that man. And if you need to be the liaison, the middle woman to us, let us know.
She holding his hand while he's going underneath the knife.
Yeah.
The way that people were responding, you would have thought that Curtis was about to go have open heart surgery, bro. They're like, well, hey, Curtis, man, hang in there, buddy. We're praying for him. I'm like, dude, he's just going to get basically one last checkup. Like, this should be a pretty low stress situation, although his eyes are going to be dilated.
Yeah, but it was also, it's funny you brought that up because I'm like, man, I actually went under the knife and had surgery on my teeth and everything. And I didn't even get the love that Curtis is giving. Like, it's like, man, okay. But it's good though. I mean, we wish well wishes for Curtis and we miss him already. So we'll have him back and better than ever tomorrow. But Pot at the Palace will be continuing on and getting it going. No doubt about it. So let's go ahead and do a little vibe check presented by Basis Health. Get into the chat. They are changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more, which makes it so much easier because you don't want to be in a doctor's office. You don't want to have to deal with all that. Have them come to you. And that's what Basis Health provides you. And they are here when you need them and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org today. All right, a few chats to get into here today. Again, folks, we really appreciate it. A lot of people watching today, so I'm glad because it's like I think if they saw Curtis, they'd be like, I'm out. But they decided to stick with me and Ellis here. But shout out our guy Quinn, appreciate the super chat. That just wanted to stop by, getting ready to board my flight to San Antonio War Eagle. Well, good luck to you, my man. It's congratulations to your guys, and we'll see. The Florida matchup is an interesting one, but hey, you're defying the odds and you're a good enough team to beat them, but we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, we talk about Arkansas when they played St. John's, how tough it was to figure out who was who in the stands. It's got to be tough for Florida and Auburn, right? Both blue and both orange. I guess Auburn's a little bit darker of a blue,
slightly different color. Yeah, because you got like a navy and a blue, but I think in those that's going to be interesting. I would imagine Florida fans are going to travel better than Auburn fans.
I would think so, but I mean, I don't know. I felt
really
like
a convenient trip for either, though.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that I still hear and see like Locked On Gators and Locked On Auburn, they still talk football on their things. I'm like, is that really, how excited are people about that? But no, good luck to you, Quinn. We appreciate you. Let's see. Ryan says, LFG guys got notifications that my Inside Arkansas shirt shipped yesterday. That's right. Oh, yeah. And sorry for the delay. We had this thing called the tournament we had to be at, but yeah, shirts are available for purchase and we're shipping them out and we got them. So appreciate your support there. Let's see. Also, Tuna's House of Influence says, is Flan for sure going to the NBA? Is it a him or DJ thing plus freshman? I mean, I feel like he's for sure going to the NBA.
I feel that way too. And I mean, listen, whether maybe Boogie is going to change his mind and he's going to do whatever. But I think if you're the Arkansas Razorbacks, you are certainly operating as though Boogie is going to the NBA. Now, if he wants to come back and say, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about what that bag is going to look like. You can have that conversation. But as of right now, I do not think Arkansas is building their roster with Boogie Fland in mind. And frankly, I don't think you can do that. Also, with two top 5 or top 10 overall players in the backcourt coming in this offseason, with what we assume or we hope DJ Wagner coming back. Not saying there's not a spot for Boogie Fland. You make a spot for Boogie Fland, but I don't think I think this roster is kind of being built with the assumption that Boogie Fland is gone.
Yeah, because we talked about it yesterday. I know we mentioned Big Z. And just to clarify for everybody, the 3 players that are currently on the roster for Arkansas that can come back, I think all 3 of us were basically like, hey, DJ, Carter Knox, and Trevin Brazil. Those, if you can get all 3 of those guys back, that's massive. You'll take 2 of them. You'll take 1 of them. But other than that, and it's not an insult to any other player, but other than that, any player that needs to leave or goes on or whatever, it's okay. But man, if you get all 3 of those guys to come back, it would be hard not to really start thinking about Arkansas being that type of that team, preseason wise on paper. with all the experience that they've had coming back. Let's see. Also, where was it at? I just missed it. Where's it at? Oh, yeah. So Big Lefty said, just think Wilkerson training with Noah, his percentage will only slightly drop.
This is actually pretty funny.
That's
because it's just kind of one of those things. I wonder, John, I really do wonder if there's something up between like the difference between Arkansas's practice facility and their Bud Walton. Like obviously, the rims are the same and all that, but there just seems to be something with that because it seems like teams don't really like Arkansas teams don't shoot as well at home as you would expect. They play well at home, but they don't shoot well at home.
Yeah. But then I would say there'd be some to that. But then on the opposite side, it seems like opposing teams come into Bud Walton Arena and just shoot the lights out of the ball. So I don't understand it. I don't get it. But it's certainly at some point got to change. It has to change. And who knows, with all the players that Arkansas is going after right now, maybe they can get some few guys to continue to work on it. But yeah, it's definitely been some frustrating. David says, I feel like a team of 6'5 to 6'10 ultra athletic guys should be able to rebound no matter what. Prioritize shooting athleticism. You don't need rebounding if you make everything.
So I want David maybe in jest, just being like, hey, why don't you just load up a team full of great athletes? But I do think like this line of thinking is kind of where I'm at. Not to say that Arkansas doesn't need size. And so like when I said I would prefer for Arkansas to get a lockdown shooter over a dominant big, that's not me saying Arkansas shouldn't add size and shouldn't have depth in the front court or any of that. But I do think like when I think about this roster and what it could look like, you have guys like Carter Knox, guys like Trevor Brazile, guys like Billy Richmond. You need some size on top of that. A guy like Morez Johnson, who's freaking 255 pounds, would absolutely supplement that pretty well. But I think of a team, we always talk about positionless basketball. I think the days of like, oh, you've got to have your 7-footer, then you've got to have your 6'10 guy, then you got to have your 6'7 guy, and then your 6. Like, I really do think you have to have that versatility. You have to have that athleticism. Guys like Billy Richmond, who can kind of guard 1 through 3, 1 through 4. A guy like Carter Knox, who's got the size to guard well, to rebound well at his position. I actually agree with David on this line of thinking that, like, sure, you do need that big man to come in and just be that enforcer, especially in certain matchups. You're going to need just that size. But I do think like the best version of this Arkansas team and the best lineup they're going to put out there has 4 to 5 guys in that 6'4 to 6'10 range that are switchable, versatile on both ends, can attack on offense, and can also rebound at their position. Which, by the way, as much as we talk about Trevor Brazile and his ability to like be a true big man, defensively, he struggles defending the post. Rebounding, he does not struggle at that. His rebounding rate was actually really, really good. And so I'm not saying Arkansas needs to enter this season with him as the starting center and just don't recruit any other big men. But we're talking about a guy that like I think you could get away down the stretch playing him at the 5 in some matchups.
Yeah, you could be in a lot worse situation if you had Trevor Brazile in that position at the 5. Like, not to say that it's ideal, but even if there's a time where you're going up against a team and a guy fouls out, or maybe your big fouls out or gets in foul trouble, throwing Brazile in there is not like, oh gosh, here it goes, it's going to be awful. He can do so many great things, and that's what makes him so versatile. And that's why I think it's so important to try to get him back for another season, because it would be awesome to see just what he could do with another year of Cal in that development. Also, this comes from Trey, says, will the next portal pop be an incoming guy player entering the portal or someone declaring for the draft?
So I really think our next announcement is going to be someone saying they're staying at Arkansas.
Yeah.
Like, I think that'll be our next live stream that we do is Carter Knox saying he's coming back, or DJ Wagner saying he's coming back. But I think if I had to pick, I don't know, someone declaring for the draft makes a lot of sense too. I mean, because those dates are coming up. Like, Arkansas's got some guys that'll do that. I think you'll probably get a declaring for the draft before you get someone entering the portal.
Yeah.
I mean, who else is going to enter the portal from this team? Maybe Billy Richmond.
Maybe.
Yeah. And that would be if like someone, is throwing him a bag or something like that. Obviously, we don't want that to happen. We don't expect that. But like, I don't think there's that many candidates on this Razorback team to enter the portal, frankly.
No, not at all. In fact, this PTP, I don't know what to say. It's just, I hate spelling it out. But he says DJ must be coming back. Cal hasn't contacted guards, just wings and bigs. Which I don't know if you started or not, but like you talked about it though. It's like you got 2 elite guards coming in that are in that position as true freshmen. Now, granted, they are true freshmen, but I don't think. Sometimes that's another thing too, else. Sometimes people just try to point, like, because I do this too. Try to take all that you see and connect the dots and be like, this must be happening. Sometimes it's not just as simple as that. Sometimes People have timing of when they want to do it. Sometimes people, just want to hear all sides and see what's going on. Just because of this particular case doesn't mean like, oh, therefore he must be coming back. There's so much behind the scenes that we don't even realize. And I'm not saying DJ Wagner would transfer. I'm not saying that, but knowing how crazy it is with NIL and all that stuff, I mean, for all we know, he could be like, well, let's see if anybody's going to come and offer me a bag. Could be. I don't know. But that's why it's hard to be patient, but you just can't take what you see and connect dots and have a logical explanation behind it.
Yeah, I think no matter what, like even before, the offseason started, we kind of knew Arkansas was not going to go in and get like the number one point guard in the portal. Just because if Darius Acuff is as good as you hope he is, if Malik Thomas is as good as you hope he is, even without DJ, you're going to have some guys that you think are going to be handling the ball back there. And I agree with a lot of people. I see someone in the chat was saying that like DJ Wagner is the exact type of guard Arkansas would be going after in the portal, like just kind of a ball handler to supplement those younger guys and kind of lead the way. I think obviously in an ideal world, Arkansas just brings back DJ. We've talked about that a lot, but I would be starting to get concerned if I started seeing Arkansas connected to like 4 or 5 guards. I'd be like, damn, DJ's gone. So I think the freshmen are a big part of this equation. Like, I don't think it's necessarily, hey, they're not offering guards because they think DJ's coming back. But I think if DJ weren't coming back, you probably would need to go out there and get someone like him. And so I do think there's something to be said about the fact that they haven't been after any. We haven't seen them connected to a ton of ball handlers.
Yeah. Also, to throw something else in, kind of going back, I meant to mention this, but you talk about if someone declares first or gets a portal edition or whatever, do what you want. But I really get pissed off when people who are out of eligibility, who can only go pro, like make a statement like, I've declared for the NBA draft. I'm like, yeah, I know you can't play college anymore. Like, of course you've declared for the NBA draft. You don't have to put out a long note making it look like you're doing something different. But yeah, that's just the fact of the matters. Let's see. Also, Hickory Hawk says DJ is the exact player we'd be looking for. Oh, is that the one you brought up?
Yeah,
okay,
that's what I was thinking. I was like,
okay.
that he really, and it's true. Like if you're not going to bring back DJ, which who knows what that costs, what that looks like. If we all want it to happen, it makes too much sense. You would have to go out there and get someone like him. You know what I mean? You can't go into next season just being like, hey, these 2 freshmen who have never played, I almost said a snap, have not played a minute of college basketball. We're just going to give them the keys and let it roll out. I think you definitely need some type of veteran presence. And so that's why I think it just makes so much sense. And I know Curtis has talked about this. Just run it back with DJ so you don't have to go out there and do that.
Also, Hunter Ratio like this. He just says DJ liked the post about leaking Acuff for tonight's game. This is another thing too, and I'm not calling you out, Hunter Ratio. It's just like, but it just does not mean anything. It really doesn't, man. Like, I don't know if you're saying it in jest or not, but that's the type of thing where you just like stuff and that's it. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's how many times. I don't know if you do this, Ellis, but like when I'm on Instagram, sometimes I'll like stuff and it's not even like I really like it. It's more like, I don't know, whatever. Like just casually passing through. So.
I will say, though, on the DJ front, I would assume that they've had exit meetings. If they haven't already had an exit meeting with DJ Wagner, I would imagine they started that process yesterday or maybe even Sunday night when they got back, maybe even on the flight back. Who knows? I would assume at this point that the coaching staff has at least gotten some type of indication from these guys. You know what I mean? And so I think that the longer this goes out, as long as we don't start hearing that crazy smoke of like, actually, I'm hearing DJ connected to UCLA. I'm hearing, like as long as we don't start hearing that, the longer it goes out, unless DJ just straight up lies to their face and he's like, oh yeah, I'm coming back. Yeah, I'm all good. And then he just dips out. But I do think the longer there's no news on the DJ Wagner front, it seems to be good news.
Yes, I agree there too. Because like we talked all yesterday, he's not that type that just likes to let everybody know on social media what's going on in his life. It's just not that approach. But again, Cal and all these guys, it's not like they're going to be blindsided by something, or they're not going to be like, whoa, I don't know. Like DJ Wagner or whoever's like, hey, I'm coming. I got this bag. Somebody's offering me this. If Cal really wants them and understands that they could be crucial to winning a championship or being a part of the team, then they're going to figure it out. They're going to make it work. But it goes back to what we talked about yesterday. It just feels nice to be that program that can do that. Because I think it's on 3, Andrew, that there's, you never know the exact NIL budgets, but they were reporting that, Arkansas, I think it's Arkansas, Kentucky, and Louisville were among the 3 top spenders of NIL when it comes to college basketball. That doesn't mean that they are in any particular order, but those are the ones that get all the coverage of like, hey, these guys, they're real. They're for sure real with their money. So I could see that happening. And as long as you have the money, as long as you have the chicken man, you're gonna be in good shape. You're gonna be in good shape. Let's see. Also from Heartbroken Hog, he says, how many rotation players do y'all think Cal will go with next year?
So it's a little bit of an interesting question because, like, obviously I'd love to just be like, yeah, 12. They're gonna have a 12-man rotation platoon system. I think they will bring in more than whatever it was at 9 scholarship guys that they had last year. I think you'll see 11 or 12 scholarship guys, but one of those guys might be the Lebanese forward who, in all likelihood, is not really going to play. Like, some of those guys that are on scholarship aren't really going to be a part of the rotation. I think the rotation is still going to be 8 or 9 guys, but I think they will have 11 or 12 scholarship guys that early in the year will get some opportunities. We'll finally settle on an 8 or 9 man rotation based on who rises to the top. Whereas this year it was 9 scholarship guys, and that was the rotation right there. So I actually think the rotation size is probably not going to change a huge amount, but that's kind of what we've been saying all along, is that, like, there's nothing wrong with an 8-9 man rotation. There is something wrong with having an 8-9 man roster. And so I think the roster is going to be bigger. I don't think the rotation is necessarily going to all of a sudden be a 10-11 man mix, nor should it be, frankly.
No, it shouldn't be, at least. I don't want to go through that again, especially with injuries. You never know what's going to happen or what to expect there. But we'll get to more of your chats, folks. Let's go ahead and get to what to watch for, presented by our friends over at Bryant Technologies. They're dedicated to delivering that high-quality service infrastructure and security camera solutions, and they take pride in their exceptional workmanship and commitment, keeping your business operations seamlessly connected as well as secured, whether it's structured cabling, security camera installation, digital signage, or even TV mounting. Something as simple as that, they're the best to do it, and they have you covered. They're servicing the entire state of Arkansas as well as the bordering states surrounding Arkansas. So give them a call today at 870-883-0330, or you can check out their website at BryantTechnologies.com with that S in between, BryantTechnologies.com. It's Bryant Technologies, quality work guaranteed. The one thing that I know people want to hear about, Ellis, is, of course, the Nate Ament whole situation with him. As we know, the McDonald's All-American game is tonight, which is exciting because Arkansas has 2 players taking place in that. And the latest part of it, which I know it's we talked about the recruitment and how insane it is, and for some players, but the latest report on Nate Ament and the situation that he finds himself in is that he was just saying he's not 100% ready just yet. This is according to Paul Biancardi of ESPN. Says, I want to take extra time to be completely confident in my choice. I will connect with the people in my circle and also be interested to see some transfer portal moves now that the tournament is coming to a close. He's the number 4 prospect of 2025 and is decided between Arkansas, Duke, Kentucky, Louisville, and Tennessee.
So weirdly enough, as much as we've talked about this Nate Ament thing, and I know a lot of people, and again, there's a big misconception that he's pushing back his recruitment date. There was never anything that was saying he was going to commit on April Fool's Day. I think a lot of people just said, hey, he's at the McDonald's All-American game. That makes sense that he would commit then, and he is not doing that, which he made very clear. I actually think if you listen, if you read that quote, like, kind of makes sense, right? Like, if you've waited this long, you might as well wait and see what kind of roster these teams are building together. And I think another big part of this thing is, like, if what we're hearing about some of the numbers and stuff like that Nate Ament is going to demand, like, the $3 million number was floated around. How accurate is that? Who knows? But like, if that is even close to true or even halfway true, that's going to be he is a very big part of how you build your roster. So it would make sense for a guy like that to kind of wait and see which team is really going to make that room for him, which team is really going to make him a priority. And I think also, and Curtis could speak way more on this because he follows the recruiting. He's got way more connections and all that. But I think if you're reading between the lines of, like we were saying with DJ, how Arkansas's not really going after a lot of guards, they are kind of going after a lot of guys in that wing forward type of mold. Now, Ament is kind of a unique player because he's basically a 6'9", 6'10" small forward, where it's like not really a big, not really, a true wing either. He's kind of in that weird range. But I think, like, it kind of, I'm not saying that Arkansas is, like, not going to get Nate Ament, but in terms of if Ament's looking for a team to really clear that room for him, and we assume Carter Knox is coming back, we assume that Billy Richmond is coming back, we assume that Arkansas is going to go out there and get some guys in that 6'8" to 6'10" range, I'm not saying that means, hey, it's just a done deal. He's not coming to Arkansas, but I don't know if I have a high amount of confidence that Arkansas is that team that is going to be clearing room. And the longer you put off your recruitment like this, the more kind of pressure you're putting on whatever team it is that's going to rise to the top and end up winning your services. I think that team, I think Nate Amon is kind of looking for a team to make him a priority. And who knows? I mean, Cal and Arkansas, they kind of have that equalizer where when they go all in on a guy, which by the way, they made a really strong push with Ament to just even get to this point. Who knows if they're going to really, I think if Cal wants to, if he wakes up tomorrow and he's like, you know what, we're getting Nate Ament. Arkansas can do it. Like they have that ability. Like make no mistake about that. I just question the legitimacy of will that actually happen? Will they wake up and make that decision and say, you know what? We'd love to have Carter and Billy back. We'd love to get a couple guys in the portal, but we want to make sure we get Nate Ament. I just don't know if I necessarily see that happening.
No, I've had somebody ask me last night in my DMs, like, hey, what's your confidence level of getting Nate Ament? And I just kind of felt like I would be surprised if he ended up coming to Arkansas. And that's not saying that I don't want him at all, because it goes back. I trust Cal, and he's a great player. He's one of the best players in the country. And I feel like it's only a good thing if you have 3 McDonald's All-Americans on your roster. So I would gladly take him. But just given the circumstances of how all these things go, it's one of those deals. If you don't get them, it's not the end of the world. But if you do get them, it's a great thing. Like it's just one of those things where you got to look at it through the lens of not resting your entire feeling and emotions on the shoulders of this 17-year-old kid in the decision, where if he doesn't choose you, then he sucks. You didn't want him, blah, blah, blah. You got to be able to look at it through the lens of, hey, this guy is a great player for a reason. He could help out Arkansas. And if Cal wants him, then Cal can do whatever it takes to get him. And so that's my standpoint on it. And I don't blame him at all for wanting to wait until what the rosters look like, because, he could commit to one place and then suddenly they bring in 2 power forwards or small forwards or whatever that, he'd have to compete against and have to go through. I wouldn't want to do that either. I'd want to see what the type of team that I would be playing around. And luckily for Arkansas, where it stands right now, luckily for them, they still have the 3 players that we talked about wanting to bring back. They got 2 big-time guards coming in. Like those, as of right now, are the type of players that he could be playing with. And then don't forget, they're going to get somebody out of the transfer portal, at least a few people out of the transfer portal. They'll be really good. So if it fits, go with it. Have him join you. And then you got 3 McDonald's All-Americans, 3 key players returning from the previous season, and maybe another 3 or 4 transfer portal guys that could really make an impact. That's a team. That's a title caliber team. That's something that you want to see the format of what Cal's doing. So, yeah, it'd be great. It's one of those things. It'd be great to have him, but if you don't get him, it doesn't mean all is lost and you suck and all that stuff.
I mean, look, it's always a race. It's an arms race to accumulate talent, of course, but it's really an arms race to accumulate skill sets. And on your team, you just have to have all those skill sets. What is the big conversation we started this show with? Does Arkansas need to go get that big interior presence, that rebounding defense, or do they need to get the shooting? And so, I mean, Nate Ament is the kind of guy, he's a very unique, special player. And I think he's absolutely as good as he's being billed as a potential lottery pick. And so, obviously, if Arkansas gets him, we'll throw a parade. It'll be the coolest thing ever. But I think if you're looking at this Arkansas team and kind of what they need to get, I think a lot of fans, and how many times in this chat have we read, need defense, need rebounding, need a big man. Nate Ament does not necessarily check that box. I think if you're looking to fill out that of your roster, you can go get that in the portal. If you want to get like a for sure knockdown high level shot maker, Nate Ament has that potential to do that. But I think Lamar Wilkerson kind of fits that type of mold. And so it's like, I'm not saying Nate Ament would not bring a ton of things to the table for this Arkansas team. He absolutely would. And he's the type of talent that you make room for him. I mean, hell, somebody's going to do it. It might be Duke, who's literally about to win the national title and might be the best program in the country. It might be one of these other teams. Arkansas could do that, and we could not blame them for doing it. But I think, like you said, there's other ways to fill out your roster and to get those skill sets. And whether or not you have the big name talent that everybody's wanting or not, you just have to have a roster that has all of those skill sets. And so I think there's ways to go get, especially if the number is 3 million. I think there's ways to go out there and get some of those skill sets and get some of those pieces to round out your roster without it being Nate Ament.
By the way, I know that we're talking a lot about transfer portal. We'll get to more of your chats, but this is somewhat interesting news that according to On3, all signs point to Maryland hiring Texas A&M's Buzz Williams as their next head coach.
I heard that decision was coming today. Is that where it's where they landed?
That's the thing, is it's not confirmed. It just says all signs point to him becoming the next head coach, which with On3 and that type of reporting is one of those deals like you'd be hard pressed to think that he is not going to end up being the head coach of Maryland. So yeah, leaving the Aggies to go to the ACC in Maryland and could have an SEC job open with Texas A&M, who we know that they got money. We'll see how serious they are, but still, no more Buzz Williams in the SEC, it would seem.
I tell you, man, it's very interesting. You have your coach leave you and go to another job, and so then you're going to bring in Buzz Williams, who very well, like, as soon as there's a job that he likes, he's probably going to leave and go take it. Buzz is a good coach, like, no doubt about that. Like, the guy knows what he's doing. Doesn't yield the most aesthetically pleasing style of basketball, but seems to always have good guards. Seems to always have competitive teams. I'm sure he'll do a good job at Maryland. I don't know. Maybe he's obviously coached in the Northeast. I mean, he was at Virginia Tech before A&M. Was at Marquette before that. Like, he's maybe that area, that part of the country, is just makes more sense for him. I also think he probably looked at his Texas A&M roster and was like, "Man, I've got a lot of work to do to make this roster serviceable. Might as well go to Maryland where I'll have some excitement and whatever." And I'm sure he's not thrilled about the basketball fan base there at A&M. And so, sucks to suck, man. We'll see what A&M does in response to this, but I think A&M, if I had to guess, is going to be the type of basketball school that's like, all right, this is our official time. Like, we no longer care about basketball. We're just going to go all in on football. We're about to have to hire a baseball coach as well. Let's just worry about that. We're just out on basketball. That fan base does not care about basketball.
No, I mean, there's some fan bases that do. There's some and I'm talking about the SEC. Some fan bases that do. Some fan bases that have gotten better and more interested in it. And there's some that just, it doesn't matter what you do, they're not really going to be all in on that. And Texas A&M just, football wise, you could tell they love their football. I even think baseball has been one of those things, but basketball is just, it's just not their thing. Not to say they can't get a good coach, because we know they got the money, but is that a program that a big time coach feels like they can walk right into and have everything that they need to get the big time players to come in? Maybe so, but yeah, but it looks like Buzz is going to be moving on, and we're going to have. I was wondering if there would be any head coaching changes in the SEC. And I didn't think Buzz Williams would be the first one to end up going, but looks like that's the case, because they won their first game and lost in round 2 this year, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty rough there. It's pretty rough.
There's also some more news going on with Kentucky.
Oh,
that Owe kid transferred.
Is that confirmed? I'm not trusting anything today.
I'm trusting the chat. The chat is reporting it, and I'm reporting it as fact.
Okay, well, there we go. I'm sure that will come back to bite. Yeah, the chat usually doesn't lie to us. They wouldn't steer us wrong. But yeah, that's something. I thought that they were doing good over there at Kentucky. I thought they had all the players that they wanted. People wanted to play for the Mecca and wear the great jerseys that they never want to take off. I thought that was. It
does seem like, and I actually did a little bit of a Twitter research. He hasn't announced a commitment yet, but it does seem like the Guath Magoon guy, the 7-footer from, I believe that's San Diego State, I think he's going to end up going to Kentucky. So, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that would make sense if that ends up being the case. Because I thought it was funny too, seeing all these players that Arkansas is involved in or on their list. I'm not saying this is what happens, but you think about how different people say of Cal and Pope and their styles and everything. Well, they certainly seem to be going after the exact same players. Because every player that Arkansas is in on seems like Kentucky's on, and vice versa. So there's going to be not only on the court, not only in the programs, but also in the recruiting. Arkansas and Kentucky once again going to be rivals and trying to one up each other when it comes to all of that. So
I never really thought about this. You think we're going to get like a huge Razorback related portal or April Fool's joke?
I really hope not. I don't.
Dude, honestly, if you're an athlete making a decision, like if you're Nate Ament right now, how funny would that be if you were just like, hey, I'm actually committed to Kentucky. And then like, you're like, actually April Fools.
No, I'm going to Arkansas instead. Yeah. Or something like that. Yeah. That if they were on the better receiving end of it, it'd be funny, but not if because it's like they can listen. April 1st is a bad day for Razorback fans. It's not, it hasn't really had anything funny since then, because we all know what happened on that dreadful day on April 1st in 2012. So yeah, we don't like it. So don't mess with us on this.
That was a decade-long April Fool's joke. That was a really tough one. That was like it's tough whenever the April Fool's joke lasts for an entire generation.
Yeah, Yeah. So I'd say the joke is also ongoing. But it looks like, by the way, the Buzz Williams thing is all now confirmed. Like everybody's on top of it. They saying that he is leaving the SEC to Maryland. So
Well, I
that
mean, dude,
Under
whenever
Armour
the
money.
Maryland job opened, he was the first name out of the chute. Like everyone was like, "Oh, right away, Buzz Williams." I know Buzz is just one of those guys that if there's openings, he's connected. And so maybe that's just him, playing the agents and all that. But I think it's no secret he was not the happiest camper in Aggie land.
I mean, how could you be in that situation? That would be rough. But yeah, just again for Buzz, whatever. I'm going to be glad not to play Texas A&M with Buzz because there's just nothing more boring than to watch that type of style of basketball and to go up against. So, but we'll see what Texas A&M ends up doing and who they end up going with. Let's go back to the chat. It's been killing it. Like I love when everyone just gets into arguments and chats, and then we just have to go through and sift through them all. But hey, that's part of the fun that it goes through there. But let's see. There was one since we don't have Curtis here, we don't have our extra person to start highlighting and starring stuff. But there was one that I saw dealing with. Oh yeah, like the super chat 08 from Kentucky in the portal. Like feeling my hog. If you put it in the chat, that doesn't mean it's true just because it's a super chat. But
by the way, I don't think the Buzz thing is an April Fool's joke. Like there's like I think a lot of people are like doing the thing where they're like, you can't believe everything you see. It's April Fool's. I think the Buzz thing's real.
No, the Buzz thing is 100% real because On3, I'm looking at it right now, is reporting it. You have Field of 68 reporting it. John Rothstein's reported it. So unless they're all in on it.
Owe is the April Fool's joke.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the April Fool's joke, not the Buzz stuff. Buzz looks
hopefully Gwath Magoon is also an April Fool's joke.
What are they saying about him now?
They're saying he's probably going to go to Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just hope. Again, just head on a swivel today, folks. You got to triple check everything that ends up happening. And that's what makes it so stressful. Maybe that's why Curtis decided to take this day to go do it. Because he's like, I'm not dealing with that stupid April Fool's crap. Like, I'm not going to deal with it. So, and also I love my guy, Billy Lucci. My guy, Billy Lucci of Texags. He's my dude. But we've all been here, Billy. He got freezing cold taked because he tweeted out, first comes the commitment, then the right coach and the culture change. Jimbo Fisher, Buzz Williams, and Schloss have been in Aggieland combined 5 years and 5 minutes. Next come the championships. Now, all three of those coaches are gone. Like, oof,
I mean, seriously, though, like from an A&M standpoint, how do you like rectify that in your brain where you're like, actually, we wanted him to leave? Like obviously, like Buzz, you can, he's not like the best coach in the world. I'm sure you can maybe talk yourself into being like, oh yeah, you're gonna get a better coach than that. But it's like having a coach willingly leave to go to Maryland. It's a little bit of a tough one.
Yeah, it is. Like, if you lose a coach from an SEC school at all, then things change. But it's for Maryland. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be something that he just goes in and does something that he couldn't do at Texas A&M. I don't see him going into Maryland and suddenly a championship caliber program is born. I feel like what he did at A&M is going to be the best of anything when it comes. So, let's see. Also, people, Dre, our guy Dre, appreciate you, Dre, says, did Texas get a new coach yet? Yeah, that was another thing that apparently happened this morning where people were saying certain coaches were tied to Texas, even though Texas already hired a coach. So, which was dumb, but people haven't. Feeling my hog says, I'm sorry, John. Well, you should be. You should be. Come on now. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But did you highlight this from Hazelwood where he says, I need some black Air Force energy?
Yeah. We were talking about, that's when we were doing the like, should they get a big man or a shooter thing, which like the chat really, that broke their brains. Guys, yes, they need both. They need shooting and defense. Like you can have both. But he said, we need some black Air Force energy. That is what Morez Johnson epitomizes. That is what he brings. I mean, he's built like a brick shithouse, as they say, and has that intensity, has that physical style of play, has that crazy rebounding. Like that is what you want out of a big man. And that's why when I was doing the whole thing about shooter or dominant big man, I said shooter because I would rather my shooter be like my high level player, whereas my big man, I want him to have, as JT says, that black Air Force energy. I want him to just be a scrapper. I don't want him to be I don't want to be running offense through my center. I want to be having my center be like Ed Reed, killing people.
Yeah, I would too. David says, is there a Neighbors and Ellis in the portal to come with the Wilkerson? a lot more likely for an Ellis than there would be a Neighbors, since there's only been literally like one player that I know of that has been some sort of college athlete, and it was Malik Neighbors, and it wasn't even spelled the same way. So, but there has been, I don't know if you guys knew this, a lot of Ellises that have played college sports that have been pretty good.
Big time. I mean, one of the best Arkansas transfers of all time, Ellis.
Oh, I thought you were going to say actually Bree Ellis is a great transfer too.
Bree Ellis actually is probably one of the better transfers of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think there's probably been more than Ellis's. I don't think there's ever been a Wilkerson that I remember, at least at Arkansas. So, but definitely not a Neighbors, unless you consider Coach Mike Neighbors, who's now in LA, but not really the same at all, but still. Jeez. Also, see, Ben Stoney says, guys, I'm sitting here on top of Springer Mountain in Georgia, and the only spot I can find cell service waiting for y'all's podcast to come on before I continue my hike.
I like that. I like that, Ben Stoned.
Yeah. I'm in Springer Mountain in Georgia.
You think Ben Stoned is stoned while he's on that mountain?
I mean, yes. Isn't that what you do when you go on a mountain?
You go on a hike?
You get stoned? I thought that was just the part of it.
There actually is a stone mountain in Georgia. That was the first mountain I ever climbed.
Well, there you go. There you go. Steven says, I hate relying on shooters. I'm old school, drive the ball, grab the rebounds, dominate the paint, and be nasty on D. I mean, well, here's the thing, Steven. I get what you're saying, but I'm also and I know we're not saying it. We're not saying, hey, get a team that just has nothing but shooters on it and that's it. But you need one. You need one, at least one guy that can shoot. That's what we're talking about. And I don't know if you respond to someone in the chat, but just to know it's, the whole shooters and doing all that, that's not what this team is going to be about. And that's not what it needs to be about. But you need to have at least one or two shooters on the team to really feel confident about it.
And again, I think like when we did the question about that's how it's a great alumni hall question of the day. Whenever it completely dominates the show, and we have to keep clarifying it. It was not hey, should Arkansas pursue shooting in the portal or defense and rebounding in the portal? The question was, if you were going to have one player to build your portal class around, would it be a dominant big man or a sharpshooter? And I said sharpshooter because I feel like you can get, as you say, the rebounding, the defense, the tenacity, the physicality. You can get that from people who are not your best player. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like if you get a shooter, you're not allowed to go out there and get some defensive guys in the middle, some physical presences. And so ultimately, you're going to have both. Hell, Eric Musselman's teams relied on that exact thing. Drive the ball, rebound, defense, don't shoot, don't do any of that. But what was the reason their seasons kept ending where they had a ceiling they couldn't get over? You need that shot making. You need to be able to score. Of the last 30 national champions in college basketball, none of them had worse than the 10th break than a top 10 offense. Yeah. Like the only way to win a title in college basketball, you have to have a really good offense. Of course, you have to have a really good defense just to win games, make the tournament, and get there. But if you really want to make a real run, you have to have scorers. You have to have shot makers. And so, again, it's not an either or type of thing of hey, let's go full on Kentucky and just get 5 shooters that can't defend. I'm just saying if I were getting one player to build this portal class around, I would go Lamar Wilkerson. That's kind of where I was at with that. But I do think if you get Lamar Wilkerson, nothing stops you from also getting Morez Johnson, who's going to bring that defense, who's going to bring that rebounding, who's going to bring that tenacity. And then you can go out there and get you another big man. And then you're home free. Yeah, you can get several different types of players. That is possible to get. You are allowed to get more than one in the portal. You don't. It's not a one. That's the only player you're getting in the portal. You can round out your roster different ways. Yeah, you can do a lot of different stuff. That'll be good. But yeah, I'm just hoping that whatever they end up doing in the portal, when it's all said and done and the roster's finalized, we can look at the roster, not to psych ourselves up, not to just over the top be dramatic, but truly look at it as, wow, yeah, this roster, this is the one. This is the one that can really make a difference and make a huge change coming up next season. Matt says, how good is Acuff Jr. and Thomas at shooting threes? So Darius Acuff, he's a good shooter, without a doubt, off the dribble, spot up. The form is beautiful. There's really I feel like he has a very high floor. If he weren't a pretty good shooter in college basketball, I'd be stunned. If he weren't at the very least a 36, 37% three-point shooter. And I think he's actually a pretty high level. Like, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to make off the dribble threes for Arkansas. Malik Thomas is interesting because he's a guy that is wired to score. And I mean, you look at all his highlights and stuff, he's very comfortable, those pull-up jumpers, those mid-range jumpers. He knocks down some threes. If I'm being honest, I don't love the aesthetics of his jump shot, but it seems to work for him. And so, I'm not a shooting coach. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick that. But if there were one guy that I was like a little bit more concerned about, is his three-point shot going to translate, it would be Thomas. I do think he's a good shooter. He's a guy that's wired to score. The question I have with Malik Thomas is he going to function well without the ball in his hands? Like, without being a lead ball handler, is he going to be able to make those spots? Like, because I think that's, if I can make Malik Thomas, if I could round out his skill set, I want to see him being the floppy guy, being the guy that runs off of those screens, running around, catching, shooting spot up threes, and then attacking closeouts from there. I think that's going to be interesting to see. Malik Thomas has been a guy that has been a big-time ball handler for his OTE team, of course, and we always talk about the transition from overtime elite AAU to actual SEC college basketball. We saw Carter Knox kind of struggle with that transition and kind of had to learn how to play without the ball, how to be effective, and he was able to do that. Malik Thomas, I feel very confident about his mentality and his ability to be coachable and ability to kind of do what he's got to do. I'm not super sold that he's going to be a high-level jump shot maker. At least, at least that being like a primetime thing he does. He's a scorer though, man, and like he's very comfortable shooting contested pull-up jumpers. So you would imagine he's going to be able to knock down some open threes for Arkansas. I think that's the big question, though, because he hasn't really had to do that for his team. You don't see him getting three-point shots assisted to him. I think he's going to be a guy that, like, that if he can excel in that role, and hell, I think I can see a path to that where he's kind of overqualified for that role at Arkansas. But he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot less than he does now. And so I think he's going to have to follow the Carter Knox mold of learning how to play without the ball.
Yeah, and I think Razorback fans just, not saying they've been burned, but if you think about the 5-star players that they brought in just over the past like 15, 20 years, there haven't been a whole lot of them, but it just felt like none of them were great offensive players, at least while they were on campus. Obviously Nick Smith was really good at offense, but we didn't get to see a whole lot of them. But Anthony Black wasn't a shooter, scorer. Jordan Walsh was not that. Even going back to Olu Famutimi, he wasn't even that level of an offensive threat or anything like that. And so it's just when you get the 5 stars, Arkansas has yet to have a bona fide 5-star player that just like answers the bell and call offensively. I think again, because I think Anthony Black was really good with his skill set and all that, but wasn't a great shooter and didn't do a lot of things well offensively. But they're hoping that maybe one of these 5 stars can finally be that one that breaks through and gets the offense going.
Yeah. It's tough to just hop right into college basketball and be that kind of guy. I saw someone in the chat earlier was like, that says these 2 guards that Arkansas is coming in remind him of De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk whenever they were playing for Kentucky. And I'm like, that is very optimistic. You know what I mean? Like that's those are like outlier situations. And it's gonna be interesting. I mean, both these guys are as talented as literally anyone we've ever seen committed to play at Arkansas. But I think that is a good point that you build your roster with these guys in mind. But I don't know and that's why I think someone like DJ, someone like Carter Knox, even who's not going to, handle the ball as much, having those veterans to kind of supplement to where you don't necessarily have to say, hey, Darius Acuff, here's the ball. We need you to lead us in scoring. We need you to lead us in assists. We need you to run everything. You're the guy. There are some freshmen that can do that. We see freshmen dominate in college basketball, but it's not as common as I think people realize. But I guess Anthony Black probably is the closest Arkansas's had to living up to that type of 5-star hype.
Yeah, because you had guys that were close to it. I know Moses Moody was close to being a 5-star. Bobby Portis was close to being a 5-star. High 4 stars, whatever you want to call them, that were decent offensively. But yeah, that just didn't have any of the cases of great offense there too. So we'll get to more of your chats, folks. But also, if you say anything, I'm going to put you all in timeout when you start just coming in reporting crap and saying per somebody. You're out. You're on timeout. We're not doing that stuff because then that just
who's reporting.
Well, we had somebody say that Carter Knox is in the portal per John Rothstein. He is not. That did not happen. So you're in timeout. You're gonna start doing dumb stuff like that. I hate April Fool's shows, dude. Because on radio too is the same crap. My guy Randy Rainwater, man, he got hurt every single time. People send in chats and whatnot. People just saying things that weren't true. So I hate doing shows on all that. All right, let's go ahead and do a little buy or sell action presented by our friends over at BetSaracen. It's the #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas and has not even come close. I mean, he is, or BetSaracen is the place to get it. And if you want to get some money here in the NCAA tournament, they have some specials. They have some 3-point promos and some parlays. You got to check it out. Got to make it happen. Do it with BetSaracen and BetSaracen.com. So a little buy or sell action here. How about this? Buy or sell that Arkansas will end up having a top 3 portal class.
I'm going to sell it.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm going to sell it is for the same reason I was detailing earlier. It's not like Arkansas is going to bring in 6 transfers.
Right.
Like they're going to it's probably going to end up being 3, maybe 4, depending on how some other things shake out. And so I think Arkansas is going to have some good players. They're going to have a pretty good portal class. But I think the teams that are going to have the top 3 portal class are going to be the ones like Arkansas last year who have to build their entire roster kind of through the portal and have to really go and get 5 or 6 guys. I think Arkansas is going to have 2 big-time transfers and maybe 1 or 2 like supplementary pieces. But I don't think it's going to be a top 3 portal class. It's going to be like a top 12 portal class.
Yeah, I think maybe talent per capita will be one of the highest, but I don't think that it's going to be strictly like, oh, you're going to get the number 1, the number 3, the number 4 portal guys. It'd be nice. I would take it, but yeah, I just don't know if that's going to be that type of team this year.
Average ranking or whatever. You know how they do that on 24/7? I like that.
Yeah, I do too. How about buy or sell that Arkansas will return 3 players from last year's team?
I'm buying this. I mean, I can't sell the last one because I think Arkansas is going to have less spots to fill. I'm going to buy this. I mean, Carter Knox will be back. Trevin Brazil will be back. DJ Wagner will be back. Billy Richmond will be back. I'm not as confident about that one, but I think Arkansas will bring back 4 players from the team.
Yeah. And anybody in the chat, I'm not talking about walk-ons. I'm talking about, I love Lawson Blake, but, we're talking about the contributing players. I'm at the point where I didn't know if 3 would come back, but I'm pretty confident that 3 will come back at this point. So I'm going to buy it as well. Just because we have to. Buy or sell the Nate Ament will commit to the Hogs.
Sell.
Yeah. It's I saw that people were saying that I guess Biancardi was saying that he's down to pretty much Arkansas and Duke at this point is what was being thrown around.
Which again, I mean, is notable. And we talked about is him having the commitment later. It is good for Arkansas. If you're trying to get Nate Ament, him not committing today helps. But I don't know. I still don't know if Arkansas is going to I think Nate Ament is looking for the team that's going to just really go all in and clear space for him and almost choose him over portal guys. And I don't know if Arkansas is going to do that.
Here's the thing. I'm going to buy it just because I think that he ends up coming to Arkansas. I have faith in Cal. In the Tyson Chicken Man and what they're going to do. I'm not saying this because I have some inside knowledge. I'm not. It's just a gut feeling. I think he ends up coming to Arkansas and the excitement and will be over the top. And I will start convincing myself that Arkansas is going to win the national championship and go 40-0. Just simply put.
So here's the thing I'm thinking about, because I mean, obviously everyone talks about the number with Nate Ament and they're like, oh, $3 million. Could Arkansas do that? Is it really worth the price? Let's talk about this for a second. We think it's $12 million basically is what this roster is going to end up being, give or take. Maybe it'll be a little bit more. Think about it. Who's that? Where's that million going to go? Because I think Morez Johnson, there was reported potentially rumored maybe a 7-figure offer for him. So that's $1 million there. I would assume that if you're getting a guy like Lamar Wilkerson, that's probably 1.5 there. Maybe you get DJ Wagner to come back. Maybe that's $1 million, But it's there's really not that many guys. I mean, because your guys that are 7, 8, 9 on the bench, are they going to be warranting $1 million bags? If you go get out, I've been saying, go get out and get that big that's just a come off the bench and give you 12 minutes guy. He's not going to cost $1 million. So I mean, the money kind of is there if Arkansas wants to do it. But they might want to just save that money and overpay, make sure you get some other guys instead. But I mean, I think Arkansas does have the money. If they want to do it, they've got the money to make it work.
Yeah. Also, just a few quick notes here from On 3 that Joe Tipton has placed a final prediction, or at least a prediction on the Magoon Guath guy to go into Kentucky. So, what that's worth. Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be. But hey, he averaged 8 points and 5 rebounds. So over there, he'll probably really dominate. But either way, it's not official, but that's where the prediction now has been set for Joe Tipton over at On Three. So also to pass this news along because people were asking about it, our guy Curtis got his MRI.
We got a scoop on Curtis.
Yeah, I got a scoop on Curtis. Got an MRI, and the initial look doesn't show any noticeable changes, which is a good sign. So he's doing well, and he has more tests to go. But it was a good trip, and for his medical, or I guess his appointment down there in Little Rock. So good to hear. Good to hear. So we wanted to pass that message along. I know people were asking earlier. So Curtis is good to go, and y'all can start yelling at him again in the comments when stuff goes awry.
Curtis had the medical equivalent of Arkansas's baseball series against Missouri this weekend, where should be a sweep on paper, expected to be a sweep. The team's not very good. You're going to sweep them, but if you don't, it's a huge deal. It's kind of one of those things where it's like it's basically a no-win situation. Either it's no news and you're good, or oh crap, you dropped a game to Missouri and now everyone's freaking out. But it's good to hear that it's a positive development. Does not, it's been a long journey, man, for Curtis with this eye situation. I know it's been, literally several years now at this point. Literally it's been going on a while. And so, I know it's been a trying situation. It's been something he hasn't been thrilled about having to go through, but, glad to see he's doing well. And, hopefully one day we're able to put this in the rear view mirror. And, I look forward to that day.
Yep. I was going to make a joke about how people were asking like he was dying or something like that. It's like, he the odds were against him, but he pulled through today in his medical checkup. But no, we're happy to hear him and happy to have him back here soon. All right, a few more buy or sells here. Dealing, I'll tell you what, we'll do a little Razorback baseball actually because we'll talk about that before the show ends. But how about buy or sell that Razorback baseball will win 8 or more SEC series this year? They got 3.
Okay,
now,
so they've won 3. They've got
won
3.
Toughest part of the schedule, no doubt, is coming up. They got an easy one this weekend.
The exact number. Like, I think, you got a road series against Georgia, a road series against LSU. You've got a road series against Florida, who's not doing great right now, but it's still going to be a tough one. You got Tennessee at home, A&M at home, Texas at home. I think they dropped 2 of those. I don't know which 2. Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards the Georgia series. That might be a tough one. I don't think anyone's going to beat them at home, honestly. Like, I think Tennessee will obviously be the one you'd circle, but like, I think Arkansas. I think 8 is the number. Between LSU and Tennessee, you'll drop one of those, and I think you'll maybe drop the Florida or between Georgia and Florida, you'll drop one of those. I think the 8 is the exact number, so I'm going to go buy.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. In fact, it's at the point where I'm like, man, if they only win 7 series, I'll be disappointed just because of how strong of a start and how good they look. But because you think about it, like they got Missouri coming up this weekend, which they should win that series. The A&M series definitely does not look as good as it once did. So they should be able to win that one. Florida's tough, we get it, but that's a very winnable series. It's really the Texas, the Tennessee, the LSU. Those are going to be the key ones that I feel like you can't go 0-3 in those. Can't do it.
Arkansas is I think Arkansas is going to sweep Texas at home. I'll just go ahead and say that now. I'm gonna first reported by Andrew Ellis. Arkansas baseball sweeps Texas at home.
Okay, well there you go. Let's see. It's and finally the one that for buy or sell for baseball. Razorback baseball will break the record for most runs scored this season.
Oh, I don't know what that record is. I've looked at like a few records. I think they're going to break the home run record. I'm pretty confident. At this point, it would take a fall off for that to happen. But I don't know what the record is. I'll have to really look it up and do the math on this. But you know what? Buy it. I'm buying it. One, because like our offense in college baseball is just at a level that it just has never been before. Like it's pretty crazy the way some of these teams are scoring. But I'll go buy. I don't even know what the record is. I'll look it up after the show, but I'm going to buy it. Yeah,
I'm going to buy it too, just because, like, of course not. And of course, they're going to score so many runs this year. It has to be a record breaker. So we'll go with that too. But all right, we'll continue to go. Again, we'll have just about 15 minutes left here. Appreciate everybody jumping in with us, and we'll get to little bit of the Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. And again, the transfer portal stuff is really what's taking everything by storm right now. And we'll always keep you updated here at Inside Arkansas for anything that changes. Any big portal pops, you know that Hot at the Palace is going to go live. And that could be players exiting, that could be players entering. And we'll have always the latest for you each and every time as it goes on. But a few chats, though, to dive into. I just wanted to bring this one up for a super chat from Austin. He says, got into the MSW program at the U of A, so I'm moving to Fayetteville, boys. Hey, congrats, man.
What's MSW?
I should know. Medical school West. For women?
I
don't know. I'm making it up. I don't think so. Like, I just love how, like, in Austin, I'm not like, hey, no, I just love it. It's like, you say that as if I should know that or we should know that. I was like, I have no idea what the MSW program is.
Should know it, right?
Yeah. It's probably gonna be one of those things where he mentions it and I'm like, oh yeah, that. So, because at first I was like, well, is it the Walton College of Business? No, it's not. I don't know. But anyways, congrats, dude. Good to have you in
congrats on your honor.
Yes. Congrats on getting into school and making that happen. But also, people, Trey brought this up, and I thought it was interesting. Will Arkansas play a doubleheader this weekend? Because in softball, they actually changed the schedule because of the rain. It does look like it's going to be very moist this weekend in Fayetteville. So the baseball team may end up having schedules get worked around.
It's I would say almost certainly, but who knows? I mean, like they're always, DVH is on top of that stuff. You want to talk about someone who I trust? DVH and his weather knowledge, I trust. Arkansas has never made a bad decision, so like we'll just wait and see how it is. You're going to have to kind of wait until Thursday, Friday to really know. I know everybody, like, we kind of want to like plan ahead, but in terms of weather, I think I've said this on the show before. My meteorology professor told me predicting the weather 48 hours is a complete crapshoot. Anything past 48 hours, even the people on TV who are telling you stuff are just out. They're just relying on almanacs and such. I think once you get closer to it, you can really tell. It does seem like there's going to be some rain Friday and Saturday. I think what they might end up doing is like trying to squeeze in one game between Friday and Saturday and then do the 2 7-inning doubleheaders on Sunday, which sucks.
Yeah, that would suck. But as long as they hit the curfew, don't want to get in one of those situations before the last game curfew, like we saw with Kentucky and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Oh man, then maybe that'd be so funny. Arkansas, like Missouri gets a 1-0 lead on Arkansas, and they're like, mound visit.
Yeah, mound visit. Every at bat, just changing pitchers, just rotating through. Yeah, let's hope that's not the case. By the way, everyone's letting us know, like Austin says, masters in social work. Thank you.
Masters of social work. So you know what? Similar to medical school of women.
Yes. I feel like there was at least a connection there. Yeah, used to be called that at least. But congratulations to you, man. Let's see. Also, there was another chat that one of it. Oh yeah, Woo MF Big says, Andrew, is it possible that the SEC gets all top 8 national seats?
So I've thought about this. I would say it's not that possible, only because almost all of them are going to play each other. You know what I mean? Like, like Arkansas is going to play a lot of those teams, and so they're going to beat up on each other enough. Obviously, they're all going to end up being in that mix. They're all going to end up with the RPI. But I think just simply because one of those teams is going to have to lose some of these series, I think it'll probably you'll see at least a couple of those. But I mean, I think that you could definitely see something crazy where it's like 6 or 7 SEC teams have the national seeds. Could be something crazy like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Just given the circumstances, it's like, would the SEC have more College World Series teams or Sweet 16 teams this past year? Because
they have 7 Sweet 16. Dude, that would be crazy if they had 7 College World Series teams.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that they will for sure, but I've wavered a little bit because of how bad A&M is, and also like some other teams that aren't looking as good as maybe what they were thinking that they would be. But
some of the teams up there in the mix, I'm like calling a little bit of BS on. I actually, weirdly enough, I remember preseason being super high on Texas, where I was like, I can't believe Texas is as low as they are. Like, I think they're a team to watch. Now they're up there in the top 5 or 6. And now I'm kind of like, I don't think they're that good. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was kind of right, but I'm like, I don't think they're like a national title threat this year necessarily. And I hope they're not, because their coach is a bad man who does not deserve good things to happen to him. I bet it'll even out a little bit. Like, it'll calm down a little bit. I mean, in some of these teams, frankly, when it comes to the postseason, some of these teams get worn down by the SEC. I mean, you don't need to tell Arkansas fans about that, but playing these tough series week in and week out, sometimes you run out of gas before you even get to the show.
Mm-hmm. It does happen. It does happen. By the way, also and just random news for transfer, but Michi Johnson is officially going to South Carolina. So
he's officially completed the like craziest career of all time. Was it Ohio State to South Carolina, then Ohio State, then to South Carolina?
They call it the 720, the 720 degrees, because that's what he's done. Yeah, first 2 years in Ohio State, next 2 years at South Carolina, last year at Ohio State, now he's back to South Carolina. I feel like that's such a weird. I mean, I know it's weird, but man, I just couldn't take myself seriously at that point where I'm like, all right, what am I doing here? Like I went to back schools all over the place. I just don't know if I could do that, but yeah.
I mean, hey, he's a visionary, is what he is.
Yes, he's ahead of the curve for everybody too. Also in the chat, again, we'll get to your comments, folks. If you want to get in the chat, to let us know. We'll answer your questions on point, of course. But Vitz for me said, first things first, can we talk about the Vol Twitter getting catfish hilarious stuff going on? Did you see this?
I must have missed this.
So I think I kind of missed it too. I tried to look it up, but I think what it was is that you had a South Carolina fan that created like everybody's doing fake stuff, and they were apparently, I guess, going into the DMs is either players or just like Tennessee personalities or media or something like that, and posing as a very hot, attractive girl that was created with AI, to which they got a lot of incriminating things sent to them, people who are like married and all that. And apparently it's a bad deal. If I'm wrong about that, folks, please correct me, but pretty sure it was something to that extent that ended up happening. So
I would love to celebrate, but I know that if someone tried to do that to the Arkansas fan base, they would successfully pull that off, and they'd get a lot of they get a lot of beans sent their way.
Yes, like a lot of that stuff. Again, that could just don't do it on Twitter, folks. Don't do it on Twitter. Don't do it on social media. Don't do anything like that. I like this one for Dre too. He's like, now every time John likes my post, I'm assuming he doesn't really like it. Like that was earlier, which of course I like yours, Dre. Of course.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah. No, it's just truly like, it's not saying there are some that I like because it's something cool, but there's also times where it's happened where it's just like, whatever. Like moving on and not really caring about it too much. But yeah, it's important though to make sure you hype up other people on social media and get those likes up too. There was another story, actually, if I can find it, that I was gonna bring up. Oh yeah, did you see Tiger Woods? Speaking of April Fool's joke, you see Tiger Woods' terrible April Fool's joke?
I did see that. That was a little weird. Tiger Woods has been doing some weird stuff on Twitter lately. You know, he posted the weird thing with the girl, and he was like, "This is my girl. Please respect our privacy at this time." It's like, what?
Yeah,
like, he's got some weird tweets lately.
Yeah, so for those who didn't know, he put out a message on Twitter saying, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but a few weeks after I ruptured my left Achilles. The sleeping in the hyperbaric chamber plus the explosive lifts to my doctors and trainers have me ready to play in the Masters next week. Can't wait to see y'all. See y'all on the course." And then he says, "P.S. April Fools, my Achilles is still a mess." What a jerk.
Yeah. What a jerk. What a great joke, Tiger.
Yeah. Have you ever done an April Fool's joke? Like that?
I'm sure I've done something. I mean, I don't know if I've ever like really pulled off like big picture ones that were like crazy. I don't know. What about you? You've pulled off some. You seem like a prankster.
I was, but it was never like on April Fools. You know, my pranks were, when they least expect it. But it was the dumb stuff like, the Golden Spencer's gifts and like buying a fake pack of gum for Juicy Fruit and someone pulls it out and it's like a mousetrap that snaps their finger. Dumb stuff like that.
I hated those. The shock.
Yes. Yeah, those would hurt. And then there's another one too. Oh, I got in trouble at school because I bought a pack of fake cigarettes because they look just like cigarettes. And I had one in my mouth, and apparently you can't do that. Found that one out. So yeah, just dumb stuff. Nothing important. Nothing like mind blowing. I think I put a contraceptive on a skeleton in high school. Just dumb stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I had really got him there.
Troublemaker, like a legitimate troublemaker back in the day.
Yeah, but it was never like anything that it was mean-spirited. I just wanted a reaction. Is pretty much all I wanted. Yeah, just wanted a reaction.
That's what the entire internet is these days, trying to get reactions.
Yes, literally. And I was, I guess, ahead of the curve and ahead of the game there too. So, Yeah, so Sharkansall just tweeted this out. He said, "I've Trey Donaldson's in the portal again from Florida." Yeah, I just saw that, and that is legit. He is in the portal once again. So, yeah, Trey Johnson's now in there.
Well, if we see Arkansas has contacted him, that would be a red flag because that would mean actually maybe Arkansas does need some point guard help.
wait a minute. Yeah, Trey Donaldson. Did I say Donaldson or Johnson?
Yeah,
I think
you said Donaldson.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Boy, if Trey Johnson was in the portal, think about the bag Trey Johnson could get in the portal to pass up on being a lottery pick. It had to be like $7 million
easily.
But no, Trey Donaldson. I mean, I'm not looking forward to him being in the SEC next year.
No, I don't either. But unless maybe he goes to like Arkansas or something like that. Just every player, just assume Arkansas's in on him. They're going to get him, something like that. Let's see. Also, again, there's no transfer portal news that's going to be breaking at least during the show. I was fully expecting. I was fully ready for it, but nothing serious has happened just yet. But I'm sure it's going to be coming soon, and especially with all the craziness going on there. And everything. But you do have Razorback baseball tonight in North Little Rock, Dickey Stevens Ballpark. I know a lot of people are going to be making the trip for that, which is a fun game, by the way, if no one's ever been.
It is a fun time. It's always a good crowd there for sure.
Yeah. And they're playing Grambling over there, and which is also kind of fascinating because sometimes they play in state schools and sometimes they don't. I guess it's just a matter of the timing of it because they played Grambling earlier this year in Fayetteville, right?
Yeah, they've already played them once.
Okay. So
and also, this game is, I see Woo MF Pick say, is it streaming or not? Yeah, it is. They are actually putting it on, or at least allegedly, it's going to be on SEC Network Plus. Because I've never watched this game on streaming because either it's not on or I'm there. I think they streamed it last year, but I was there. That actually ended up being the determining factor in me not going because I was like really trying to talk myself in. I'm like, God, I guess I got to go down there and watch that game. Like, we just got back from San Fran. I really don't want to travel, really don't want to have to drive 3 hours. But if it's on streaming, because I was really thinking, I was like, I mean, I've got to go. If there's only one way to watch the game and it's there, I got to go watch it. Yeah, if it's on streaming, that makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah. And I'm sure nobody will overreact. Because was it last year they lost or no? I think they won last year, but 2 years ago they lost.
And they lost to Lipscomb a couple years ago. Yeah. They lose they at least like stink it up every now and then.
Yeah, because even against UCA, they needed like a walk-off passed ball with with Robert Moore or something like that. So, but nobody tries to overreact to those games either in the midweek. But still, but yeah, it's a fun time and a fun atmosphere. If you haven't gone, I'll be curious to see. The crowd usually shows up really well, and I think that they've got a good ballpark. It's kind of cool to see the river and the city of Little Rock in the backdrop there. So
yeah, I just hate that it's this early. It just feels like they're just kind of throwing it in there. Usually it's in like that late April as we're starting to really ramp into baseball season. Now it's just kind of like, I don't know, like they're getting it out of the way now.
Yeah, which is, I don't know who does the scheduling. I don't know if Dave handles the scheduling or if it's one of his staffers, but yeah, I was really hoping that there would be something later this time around. But we also know that they don't play, like they just stop playing midweek games pretty much like 3 weeks before the season ends, which I don't think that's a common thing, or maybe it is, but I remember seeing some teams like Tennessee last year, like in the final week of the regular season, they were playing a midweek versus Middle Tennessee or something like that.
It always bugs me. LSU, I know, every year, Paul Maneri, Jay Johnson, does not matter. They play as many midweek games as humanly possible. Like they'll finish the year with like 7 more games than Arkansas. They just play a ton of midweek games, and all their hitters rack up these numbers. Like I remember one time Tommy White had like an 11 RBI game in a midweek game, which like obviously Tommy White's very good and like he hits no matter what. But it's like you look up at the end of the year and the dude's got 112 RBIs or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, he had 50 of them in midweek games. Like it's just kind of like a little bit weird. And like, it always kind of bugs me. But I'm more baseball, the better.
Yep, I'm the same way. Because I think it was the year they lost to Lipscomb that Dave Van Horn lost his mind on the team afterwards and like ripped them a new one. So, maybe since then they're undefeated and they're 1-0.
They had a stretch that year that they lost to Lipscomb. They also lost in Springfield to, I can't remember who that was. I guess it was Missouri State. It was Springfield.
Yeah, I was about to say
it was definitely Missouri State. But they got swept by Georgia and then lost a midweek game in Springfield. And I remember it was like the vibes were like not good. Then they end up sweeping A&M at home, but like they've had some interesting little runs here lately in these midweek games. But I think they got their midweek stinker out of the way. They'll play well tonight with Tate McGuire on the bump.
Yeah. I also thought it was funny too. I think it was that same year where it just doesn't make sense. Arkansas, when they won 18 SEC games in 2018 and 2019, and they were a national seed both years. They won 18 SEC games in 2022, and they weren't even in the top 16, and they had to go to Stillwater and all. Like, how does that happen? But
it was because their non-conference was so bad. It was crazy. Like, they didn't play anybody in all their midweeks. They played UCA like 7 times. They played a bunch of bad. I think they played Arkansas State twice. Their midweek games wound up costing them a national seed.
Yep, they did. Real quick before we get out of here, though, David says, Andrew, any thoughts on what Kentucky baseball did to A&M? We talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I mean, honestly, the bigger story from that weekend, weirdly enough, like the curfew thing was funny and it was like cool to talk about. And I think that's Bush League. Like, I really do. I get why you would do it if you're Kentucky, but it's objectively like it's Bush League. But I think the bigger story is that A&M sucks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if that hadn't happened, they weren't going to score 6 runs in the ninth inning. A&M's at that point where like they're legitimately in danger of missing the NCAA tournament, like very serious danger. I mean, they're 1-8 in SEC play. It's really hard to make the tournament. If nowadays we've seen some teams that'll be like 14-16 make the tournament. In basketball, we kept seeing people be like, "Oh, you can't make the tournament if you're under 500." You can make it. In baseball, it happens here and there, but like if you're 13-17, like you're probably not gonna go to the tournament. And so it's like there's not a ton of margin for error for the Aggies here left, and they've got a sweep in Fayetteville already on the books. So it's like you start doing the math, that's potentially 1-11 right there. I don't think A&M is going to make the tournament as the preseason number 1 team in the country with the SEC Pitcher of the Year and the SEC Player of the Year straight up missing the tournament. Like, if they don't fire Michael Early after that, then I don't know.
Say if you can't make the postseason with like the best like pitcher and hitter and all the players and all that, then you're not going to do it when you don't have those players. Like, you're not going to make the tournament when suddenly you don't have those guys. So, all right. I said that's for us. Any final thoughts, Ellis, before we get out of here for the day? What a day it was of trying to figure things out and sift through all the nonsense.
Yeah, final thoughts are always my final thoughts. Watch the Bombastic Podcast, the best baseball show of all time. I'm right after this, I guess in like an hour and a half, I've got an interview with a very prominent former big leaguer who has a son that has done a very good job on the mound for the Arkansas Razorbacks this season. So everybody be on the lookout for that. I guess it'll go out tomorrow because I'm not going to put it out in the middle of the game, but we'll be back tonight to recap the midweek action. Going to be fun, and cool interview coming tomorrow.
Yep, it'll be awesome. And of course, it'll happen, of course, this weekend too with the Arkansas Missouri baseball side of things with Bombastic. And be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas, because not only do we have baseball, but we have basketball with Pod at the Palace and Curtis Wilkerson. We got Inside Arkansas live each and every day. So you got to come hang out with us, because we're going to be on top of it each and every day when it comes to all things Razorbacks. So that'll do it for us, for Andrew Ellis, as well as me being John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you then.